Welcome back to Ravenport on Farming Simulator 19 for episode 10 with me, MrSealyp. As you've already seen, I have done a few fertilising contracts, all the ones that were available actually, and I've made about 26,000 on the three that I did. 3, 4, anyway, the ones that I did. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip field 20. It's field 20, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to flip field 20. I'm going to once I've got the loan, bought it, I'm going to spray it to try and get the yield a little bit better. Then I'm going to mow it. I'm going to use my single mower. I could lease another set of mowers and do it quicker, but I don't want to spend money unnecessarily. I know I've spent a load of money in the last episode, and it seems a bit counterproductive because I'm on one hand spending money hand over fist and then saying I don't want to spend unnecessary money, but you kind of get the gist. The 26 grand that I've just earned was because I know I've got to lease some equipment. I'm going to need a tedder because if I'm going to make hay, I'm going to need to do that. I've got the round baler and I've got the bale collector sitting there, but I'm going to need to ted and I'm going to need to windrow, so I'm going to need to lease a windrower as well. But I'm going to use those over on field 9 as well, because when I go over there, I'm going to be mowing that for grass, which I'm going to be collecting with the loading wagon that I got in the last episode, which I didn't buy, I'd leased by mistake. Which actually has turned out to be okay because I wouldn't have had enough money to do everything anyway. So that's the plan at the moment. That's what I'm going to do in this episode. I'm going to make a start on prepping everything for the cows. Like I say, I'm not buying them yet. I've got nothing to feed them, so there's absolutely no point doing that yet. If I go down to... Actually, no, I need finances first, but let's see how much it's going to cost. For that plot of land, 227. So I need to get to 227 to cover that cost. So if I go across here, we need to borrow till we get to 227, or at least 227. Hang on, I need to borrow 227. I'm keeping an eye on the red one at the bottom, I think, because I need to keep my money as well. 220, 225. We'll go with that. That should be okay. That way I can still lease items while still owning that field. Right, okay. So that's that done. I should have stayed in that menu, shouldn't I? Go back to that plot, that one there, and we'll buy that for the time being. It's frustrating because you get the restaurant stuff. You can select the restaurant anyway, but you're getting all those extra buildings which you can't actually really do anything with. I suppose technically you could say you own them, but we'll buy that for the time being. So what I'm going to do now is give this a spray. Actually, the one thing I didn't check, which I suppose I should have done really, let's go across to soil composition. Yes, it's only got one fertilising state on it, so this will actually work out perfectly. That will give me maximum yield off of this. So let's raise that up a bit as well. I think it's a little bit too high. Won't take a huge amount. but it will just be enough to improve that yield. And then I'll mow, and I'll mow everything I can. I think what I'm probably going to do as well, because I've got enough in my tank, I'm not just going to do that. I'm going to come across here. I'm also going to fertilise what I did in the last episode on here, so kind of 2 birds with 1 stone, and then that will improve the yield on the grass that grows through on my plot as well. So it all works out just dandy. I would encourage people, and you know, I suppose that kind of goes with any video, to watch the videos to the end. And I know I've said it before, please hold fire on your comments, whatever your comment may be, until you've watched the video to the end, unless you have absolutely no intention of watching it to the end and you just want to fire off a comment, which is also fine. I've had quite a few people recently firing off comments, then I get a second one pops up later saying, sorry, you've just done what I said, or you know, it just makes life easier. It saves your fingers, you know, and your keyboard, you know, or your phone, or whatever you're doing it on. You don't want to wear out those keys, do you? I'm helping you to save money in the long run. Anyway, so you know. Trying to see that line. It's a little bit harder in the long grass. I can see now why farmers use GPS in their tractors, because if you're doing this in cab, when you've got crops grown, to know exactly where you've already sprayed must be almost impossible. Nearly there. Swing that round. So what I'll do in a second then, once this bit's done, I'm going to go across and do my plot over there, and then I'll go and grab the mower, and I'll see you back here in a minute. I did have a comment left the other day asking me to stop jumping between jobs and to show driving between them and all the rest of it. I'm a kind of a catch-22 on that, in that people don't necessarily just want to watch a video of me driving from place to place, but I try to balance it out as much as I can. So I'll see, do as best I can. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. So I decided to lease the rear butterfly mower, and I know you can run this in a triple mower configuration. Well, it is in triple mower now, but you can have it all as one attachment, all joined together on the front, and I could be running a tedder on the back. I know people will comment and say, why didn't you do that? So I'll tell you why I haven't done that. This tractor's got 175 horsepower. The rear mowers on their own require 150, and the front mower says it requires 70. So the fact it's even running both of these is a miracle. This field is fairly flat, so I'm kind of getting away with it at the moment. I will cut as much as I can, then I'll come back and I'll ted, and then I will windrow. And I thought, well, I'd lease these mowers because if I do decide to go over and do field 9, which is massive, just using, my single mower would be ridiculous. It would take me forever. And that field is also, well, it's not that flat, is it? There's a whole section of that that's quite downhill-y. So I suppose what I could do is what someone else suggested. Oh, after my issues the other day trying to use leased vehicles, the comment was that if you lease a vehicle yourself, you can then use it under contracts and on your own fields. Well, yeah, because if you've leased it yourself Of course you can. That's the whole point of leasing a vehicle or a piece of machinery. What I was then told was, if you've leased for a contract from the actual farmer, you can use the vehicles, normally the tractors, with your own machinery, but you can't use them with leased machinery. Does that make sense? Is it a little bit... so I think what I might have to do, if this hasn't got enough horsepower, take on a contract that has got a larger tractor, do the contract, but then use the tractor on these mowers to do field 9. That might be the way to do it. That's the one I'm going to get all the grass off of to put into the bunker silo there to the left. That's the plan for that too, I hope. Again, like I say, we'll see how we get on. That's what I'm intending to do. Just thinking, because this is struggling a little bit, especially as soon as you get to anything that's even slightly hilly. And field 9 has got... doesn't like the turns, does it? Let's go back over that. I don't know how much I'm going to get off of this, how many bales I will get. If I don't get as many as I hope to get, then what I'll do is fill up the bunker silo from field 9. If I can fill up the bunker silo from field 9. If I do and I've got any left, then what I'll do is make the rest into hay, or I'll just have to wait and do another field at some point and just do what hay I can do now and then some later. At the moment it's all a little bit fluid. We're a little bit loosey-goosey with the whole thing, and we'll see how we get on. So as I often do, because you've seen me now using these mowers and I have leased it, this triple mower at the back costs 3,000, just over 3,000 to lease. Per operating hour it's in about another 2,000. So what I may well have to do is we'll see how we go with leasing equipment, and if I start eating into more hours, which is going to use more hours if I do field 9, unless I can really belt round that and get it done quickly, I might have to do another contract somewhere in between just to cover leasing fees. That's all I'm trying to do at the moment. I want to get these cows off the ground. I want to get them. I want to get this whole dairy situation up and running. So if that means doing a few contracts to cover the costs, then so be it. Right, next time you see me, I'll have the windrower. No, I won't. I'll have the tedder. And then once I've done the tedding, then I'll windrow. Then I'll bale, then I'll collect. And then this field will then be flipped back. And then it'll be filled, just thinking whether I can get all that done in this episode. And then whether or not I can then get onto field 9. What I'll do is the same with that. Field 9's already got a fertilising state on it. So what I'll do is when I do flip that field, I'll take over my sprayer, I'll give that another spray, so that'll have 2 fertilising states. Last time I did field 9, when I got that, was it 83 bales off of it, silage bales, that only had 1 fertiliser state on it then as well. So potentially with 2 fertiliser states I'll get way more grass off of it. So that's what I'm thinking. On the front I have got the Vicon Fanex 604 Tedder. It's the smallest one you can get, and I think it cost me $880 to lease. I've put it on the front. It doesn't operate on the front, but I thought I'd do that so I can get it down here, because on the back I've got the Kuhn SR something, isn't it? SR314 windrower / rake. I've used this one because it's new to FS19. We've used these windrowers before, of course we have. This one is new. It's more of a, I mean the others are rakes technically because they've got the spinning things, but this is more of a rake. In my head it makes sense, but anyway, so on the back I'm towing that, so I thought to get them both down here at the same time it just made more sense. What I'm going to do is drop that off at the back. like so. I've put my wide tyres back on. I don't need the narrows on at the moment. I only had the narrows on because I don't want to damage any of the grass before I cut it. That needs to be lowered. Detached. So let's open it out. Turn it on. Lower it down. And let's get going. Let's, Ted, make some hay. Make sure I'm actually getting everything I should be. Yep. Let's come to outside now. What I did do with the mowers, I came right out and did everything I say everything I could do. Because I've left a load of machinery here, I could have done some of that, and because I put the straw down over there, I could have done that too. But I've done, you know, as much as was kind of viable, really. Now, obviously, in the real world, normally the grass that I've just cut would be left. That would be left to dry out on the top, and then you would come along with the tedder. You would ted it, which would flick it all over. Anything that's damp that's still on the floor would then be exposed to sunlight, air, all the rest of it, which would then dry out, and then you would get your hay. So I totally get that, you know, normally you wouldn't do this straight away. You wouldn't mow and then ted immediately. Oh, that's annoying. It cut that, but it's not letting me. Come on. So yeah, and obviously when you're playing with seasons, which apparently is coming, it is coming to FS19. When, we don't know yet, but it will be coming. So it let me cut it, but it won't let me ted it. Seriously? Okay. Yeah, if it was wet, it wouldn't let you do the work on it. If the grass was wet, it wouldn't let you cut it, and obviously it wouldn't let you ted it until it was dry. And those kind of things, they're nice touches. I like that. As for the realism aspect of things, again, we're in that kind of catch-22 that people bandy the word people about way too much. That people wanted realism. People want a balance. They want a balance between realism and gameplay. They want to be able to play the game and enjoy the game. If you go too ultra realistic, the game then becomes a niche game. It becomes so niche that only your ultra realistic gamers will play it. And I think that's where Giants are trying to balance the game. They are trying to get that balance between those people that want to play ultra realistically and those people that just want to play a game. They want the experience or an experience of farming without it being you know, at the end of the day, it is a game, isn't it? You know, I've said that before on various videos, and that's the balance to find, isn't it? There are some games out there in the gaming world that are ultra realistic simulators, and they will appeal to a very niche audience of people who want that very, very specific, very, very ultra realistic gaming experience. The only downside with niche anything is that it only applies to a very small audience. If you're trying to build a company, if you're trying to make a load of money, a niche product, generally speaking, niche products are more expensive because they can't sell a lot of them. It's that kind of thing. So where do you draw the line? You know, I know, like I said before, what I've always loved about this game is that they try to cater for everyone, and you can play it whatever way you want. So, you know, that's kind of where it's going. They need to be careful that they don't get to a point where it's so realistic that it will appease and make the ultra realistic gamers very, very happy, but then you risk your more casual gamers not wanting to play, you know. And that's where you get that divide, don't you, I suppose. What do you do as a developer? But anyway, Never without my talking points, am I? Right, I'm going to carry on doing this and I'll see you in a bit when I'm ready to rake. This, I believe, is a 7.8 metre rake. I think that's what it said. Yep, 7.8 metre. So what I should do is open it out. Whoa, that's cool. Drop it down. Doesn't need turning on, because what normally happens with the rakes, as you move forward, they skip across the ground as you go, I think. There we go. And there's our windrow. Oh, very nice indeed. I have to make sure I gather everything. Don't have to get snagged on the bushes. Well, that's cool. Very smooth operation. It doesn't feel at all snaggy. It's not kind of bouncing or catching on the ground. Missed a couple of bits, but always come back for those with the baler. I'll take it out the end first, then swing around. Just, you know, just damage the rake, take it on a wander around the countryside, and then we'll come back. Right, so it's right on the edge of where it will work from. Some of this is going to prove a little bit harder to collect than the rest, but right on the edge. Yes, we are. Okay. I like this. It's a nice addition. Nice addition to the game. I did wonder actually. I watch various different farm channels, and I watch how farms work with Ryan Custard, the Custard family, and they've got a windrower like this. And I did wonder a while back why I'd never seen one in game like this. I didn't know if theirs was just kind of a, not a special model, but you know, something a bit unusual. But that's cool. Mind that tree. I'll do another pass round to the left just to make sure I've got everything. Then I'll head round in and do the main field. Get to about there. Raise it up so I don't catch anything. Drop it back down. And away we go. careful. I think I pretty much got it all. There's a few little bits, there we go. A few odds and ends. Right, so as I did before, I'll carry on doing this and I'll get this field sorted out. Then we'll get the baler out. You've seen me do a lot of baling over the last few episodes. Only difference with this is they're going to be hay bales. Then I'll collect them and I'm probably going to put them over actually next to where the straw bales are at the moment until I get myself a shed or something to put them in or under. I could be collecting this if I wanted to. I could collect it loose if I had the hay loft, and I could collect it with the loading wagon and then put it into the hay loft if I wanted to. I don't have 90 grand or more because obviously they've then got to place it for a hay loft yet, so for the time being it's going to be bales. Okay. So as far as hay bales go, we've got 27. Well, no, actually we haven't. It says created bales 27. When I started to use the baler, it already had straw in it. Now I thought, and I could be misremembering this, on Farming Simulator 17, and I know a lot of people have commented to say they still do this, whatever you finished the bale on was whatever came out of the baler. So what a lot of people did very cleverly, if they wanted to make hay bales, they'd make a load of hay, they'd get straw off of a field, fill most of the baler with straw, then finish it off with a little bit of hay, which would switch it automatically to a hay bale. So you could make a load of hay bales by using a very, very small amount of hay and a huge quantity packing it out with straw. But here's the thing, the baler had some straw in it. So I started baling and everything that I put into it was hay. When the bale came out, it was a straw bale. And then, like I say, I was convinced that whatever went into it last was what the bale ended up being. But it could have been the other way around. If that is the case, that's a bit of an odd one. So I've got 26 hay bales and one more straw bale to add to the collection, which is a bit bizarre, but you know, what are you going to do? I'm going to stack these up to one side as well, and then it will be a case of sorting out what we're going to do. I think I do need to check actually. I'm saying about field 9. I need to check to even make sure it's So it's got one fertilising state on the moment, it will need another one. I'm assuming that's the same with the grass fields as it was on FS17. When you cut the grass it goes back to one fertiliser state, so you just got to add one more on. As far as growth goes, it doesn't actually show it, does it? And fruit types, where's grass? Is it down there? Oh yeah, down there. Let's click that on. Yeah. Oh, there you go, ready to harvest. So that's fine. Oh, that looks horrible. I don't like that at all. I will take the grass back off again. Like so. Fantastic. So it is ready to harvest. So I can flip that field and get a load of grass then ready for doing silage. Where shall I put these ones? Let's put them under the shade of this tree here. Just in case it rains. Until I get a shed, it might give us a little bit of protection for our bales. What I might also need to do, I know I can buy bales and I'm trying to avoid buying bales as best I can. What I'm thinking of doing is again with field 9, depending what I get off of it, I might bale and wrap a few, because obviously once I've filled my bunker silo it's going to take a while to ferment, so until it's fermented I'm going to need some silage. So I thought I could make a few silage bales. Actually that might not be a bad idea. Right then, collecting these off the field, stack them all up where I just put that one, and then we'll be over to field 9. I've been putting all the equipment I've leased and used just over there for the time being. It's dotted around all over the place. Once I've done all this and I'm ready for the cows, then it can all go back, but for the time being I'll keep hold of it rather than release it and having to pay out for the full leasing cost. I'd rather pay out hourly fees than having to release the equipment and paying a bigger chunk of money. Kind of makes sense. What I'm going to do now then, I've got another vehicle behind me. I will explain that in a moment. I'm going to go back into the menu, back to field 20. I want to go to that plot and we're going to sell that plot of land. We now need to what am I on? Balance 295. Have I lost money somewhere? No, should be right. I need to borrow some more because I need to get up to 495. I think I've got to go up to. So keep going until I get to 495. Then I've got enough to buy the plot of land I'm on with a little bit extra just in case I need to lease anything else. I shouldn't need to lease anything else, but I should be okay. Right, back to this plot, up to here, to field 9, 495, buy that plot. Right, it's all working out. So if I scroll across now, what I've done is taken on a ploughing contract. I've leased the vehicles for that ploughing contract, and as part of that ploughing contract we got a Fendt 720 which has got 200 horsepower. That should be enough for the front mower. That really does need a wash and probably some maintenance. Should be enough to run both mowers, especially with the hill, because this is the one that slopes down away to the bottom corner. So what I'm going to do first of all, to make this work a little bit better, I'm going to set a worker to spray the field, which will give me maximum yield. So that will go off. Does that make any difference whatsoever? Doesn't look like it, does it? Just checking the map. That doesn't seem to be having any impact at all. Get rid of that. Go down to... No. No, it's not. That's really weird. Why is that not having any impact? Never mind, okay, well it's not. It's not allowing me to put a second fertiliser state on it. Don't know why. Okay, well we've got this now then. I was going to do that first, and while that was going, get on with mowing, but I might as well just get on with the mowing. Stop that there. This is where we see whether or not the leased vehicle situation will work with your own machinery. I don't know. Let's open that. Go to the front one, open that. Start that one up. And drop it down. Go to the rear one. Start it and drop it down. Now, how far over can I go? I'm trying to remember now. There will do, I think. So thinking about this logically, once I get onto the main field, I could hire a worker to plough the bulk of the field while I go away with my tractor and go and get the rake. I think I can see... This isn't fully grown. It says ready to harvest, but I'm not convinced, you know, because this is where I cut it before, and you can definitely see the line. That's from before, from the other field, and this is this field. There definitely seems to be a difference, yet when you go into the map and the menu and you check it, it says ready to harvest. Does that mean it's on its... that could be why it's not accepting another growth state. I'm not going to get as much off this as I thought, am I? Oh, you know what, I'll just do what I can. At the end of the day, it's grass. It might be enough to fill the bunker silo, it might not. Whatever I get is whatever I get. That's all I can do, really. So I'll just do the border to this. I'll cut all the bits that aren't in the main part of the field, and then I'll set a worker to do that. I'll come up and I'll rake. We'll get there, we'll get there. Then I'll be up with the loading wagon. Loading wagon only holds 23,000 litres, so it's going to be a few runs backwards and forwards, I would imagine. Or even with 200 horsepower, this is not a fan of hills. So I'm thinking what I'm going to have to do is mow down the hills into the corners. It is doing it, but just not enjoying doing it. Okay. Give him his due. The worker in the contract tractor is doing a brilliant job. What I've got to do now is get raking. One side to the other. Drop it down. How much we'll get off the field, only time will tell. And time is one thing I'm going to run out of, because we're almost at the end of this episode. I'm going to have to do this off screen, a big chunk of this off screen anyway. At least the windrowing, and I think what we'll then do is either I'll start the collecting off screen and then finish it off in the next episode, or vice versa. I'll start it off and then finish it, but we do need to make sure we get that bunker silo as full as we possibly can, get that fermenting, and then somehow if we need some silage bales, we'll sort out another plot of land that's got some grass around the edges or something, and we'll bale up some grass. I think that's probably the best way of doing it. Oh, I've missed some. Too busy chatting. We should do all out of this. Bit of a dip at the end here. Will the rake be alright with it? Yep. Like I say, it's not the widest of rakes or windrowers, and it's going to take a bit of time, but I think even the widest one would still take time. It's a fair sized field. Get cruise control on, make life a little bit easier. He's still going, costing me money, but it's the best way I can do it. Otherwise, if I do it all the mowing first, then come back and do all... oh, it's missed a whole load. Oh, never mind. Then I come back and I do all the windrowing. It would just take forever. So it just makes more sense to utilise a worker. And like I say, if I have to do another contract to cover the costs of leasing equipment or paying worker fees, then I'll do that. I'm more happy that I've got past that kind of that point where I seemed to be doing episode after episode and not actually really getting anywhere. Now I've got the dairy farm sat there, I feel like I've made a chunk of progress. I feel like, you know, it's the snowballs building pace, and we'll get some cows in it, they'll start making milk and manure and slurry, and, you know, I won't have many in there, but they'll be ticking over, and that's the main thing. A bit of extra income. Okay, well, with that, I think I shall continue. We have come to the end of this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Bit of more kind of ticking over, I suppose. Cow prep. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.